Howdy, folks. So today I want to talk about 3D staging, the overall depth of your imaging in your headphones. So on a previous video, I talked about the 10K notch being a theory that I had. In other words, if you have a graph and then you have a very steep notch centered around 10K, then that particular headphone is going to sound more 3D. So this is a theory I had, and I was just kind of going by graphs and then headphones I've actually tried. However, I decided to take a very known quantity, which is the Shure or Let's Shure EJ07M. Many graphs of that available online, and I decided to try and EQ it to the point where it's 3D turned into the magic of the original EJ07. So using my 10K notch theory, and as it turns out another set of frequencies are applicable to this, I achieved at the same 3D glory of the original EJ with the EJ07M. And probably folks that have heard both would agree that the 07M, while not lacking in 3D, is not as amazing as the best set I've ever heard, which is the 07. Okay, so let's talk about that. So here's some graphs. So just to let folks know, the bottom line here, which is, let's see if I can get this one here, it's kind of white. That's the original EJ07 graph. So that's the bottom one. And then the top one is actually a hybrid set. So in other words, EJ07 original from 1K down, and then EJ07M from 1K up. Yeah. So I decided, well, let's get the 07M sounding as good as the 07. So what do we need to do to EQ that into this headphone? And what I arrived on was we need a 10K notch, and that is actually what I basically tuned in with EQ. And folks might be saying, well, how the heck did you EQ that? Well, I had to use, this is Power Amp, and it's got a parametric EQ, so the frequency in question is this one. So we have 10.3K, a gain of -7, so it's a 7 dB notch with a Q factor of 8.6. And then if we look down here, you can just kind of see this little dippy dip. That's just sort of like the theory of what it's doing. And then for the 07M, it has way more bass than the 07, so that's what this is frequency 215 with a -2.8, and this is not a notch. This is just a, what do we call this, a high pass? So high pass, maybe low pass. Yeah, low pass. So it's decreasing anything below 215 by 2.8 dB. Basically, I just I did that by eye, comparing graphs. So that's from right around here to, well, going down. And so on the 07M, this starts at about, like I said, 220-ish, and then starts going up from here. And really doesn't go down in any way. So it's just kind of like a flat line here and then starts going up. So I tried to EQ that in to turn the 07M into the OG. And then I did the notch over here, the 10K notch. Again, this is the actual EQ I used. And lo and behold, I was actually shocked at how well this worked. So this actually gives us a tonality of the EJ07 with a little bit of extra sparkles in the treble and every bit of 3D depth and that sort of amazing, like you're there tonality of the original EJ, but with the 07M. And so this kind of proves to me that the theory is right. But I wanted to throw this out there so folks could either try and EQ their headphones, ones they might already have. You can try and match the graph in terms of the 1K to 20 hertz, in terms of, you know, the going down sort of a little bit and then popping up at about 200 and going up from there. Well, it's actually a pretty, well, it's not, you know, a direct linear 200 hertz up. It's got this little round curve going on there. But in any case, the 10K notch matters a lot. And I played with the 10K centered, like I immediately started with 10K and just did a notch there, and it made the treble sound a little funny. So moved it up. 10.3K ended up being exactly where I heard it sounding basically right. However, it changes the reverb tails in the encoded mix to sound more like you're in a room listening to speakers rather than you're listening to a more polished, studioized version of the same thing. And it works. So just go back here. This is really the thing you ought to pay attention to is the 10.3K notch. Try that. You're going to need a very, very steep Q factor, probably parametric EQ. Graphic EQ is not going to work. And give that a shot. And like I said, you do not want a lot of mid-bass between 200 and 100 hertz. I'll leave that up to however you hear it, but as soon as you add that in there, you will not be able to hear that extra resolving factor around 10K. It's in a psychoacoustic type masking effect, whereas the 10K is not that. It's more like it changes the treble to more how your ears hear it in a room rather than sound sort of directly ported into your head. So give this a try, folks. Get back to me on the comments. It works, and I'm quite amazed with it, and I would love to hear some feedback. Right on. Have a great day. Talk to you on the next one.